Don't let the numbers be a shock at the closing table. If you are thinking about selling your home in Henderson County, there is one number that matters most than your list price, more than your offer price, and honestly, more than just about anything else in the transaction. And that number is what you actually walk away with at the closing table.
So today we're going to change that. We're going to start with a $600,000 sales price, right in the range of a well-appointed Henderson County home in 2026. And we're going to walk through every single cost line by line until we get the real number that's in your pocket. No surprises, no fine print, just a complete picture before you make any decisions. This is a framework, and the numbers will change based on your home, current market conditions, and other factors.
We're Ryan and Suzanne with the Live Play WNC real estate team. Our peak home selling system is built around one thing most agents skip, making sure you actually understand the numbers before you make any decisions.
Homeowners in Henderson County are sitting on real, significant equity, and in many cases, more than they realize. And they're not moving forward because the financial picture feels, well, a little unclear. So today we're going to make it very clear, and let's walk through that math together.
Okay, so let's establish our starting point. We're working with a $600,000 sales price. This is a pretty realistic number for a well-maintained home in the 28739 zip code for 2026. So maybe a home on a half-acre lot, a somewhat updated kitchen, and in generally good condition throughout the home.
As we go through each cost, we're going to subtract it from that $600,000 in real time so you can see exactly where the number lands at every step.
So one important note before we start is that these are representative figures for North Carolina. Your specific numbers will vary based on your mortgage balance, your negotiated commissions, your home's condition, and what concessions, if any, you offer the buyer. So what we're building here is a realistic framework, but not a guarantee. For your actual net proceeds, you want a seller's net sheet built around your specific home, which is something that we prepare for every seller that we work with for every offer that's received.
Let's start with the costs that happen before the closing table, and that's the preparation cost. These vary widely depending on your home's condition. For a $600,000 home, let's work with some realistic figures.
First up is the pre-listing inspection. We recommend this to every seller in our peak system. A standard home inspection in Henderson County usually runs between $400 to $600. You may also want to add in radon testing for another $150. The reason we do it proactively is simple. You want to find the issues before a buyer's inspector does, so you can control how they get addressed, rather than negotiating for those repairs while you're also under contract. Let's call it maybe $650 for the home either radon test.
Repairs and pre-listing updates is another category. This is the most variable line on the entire sheet, and it depends entirely on your home's condition. For a well-maintained home that just needs cosmetic freshening up, like paint touch-ups and maybe a few minor fixes flagged by the pre-inspection, you might spend $2,000 to $5,000. For a home with deferred maintenance or dated finishes that need addressing to compete in the market in that price range, this number could be 10, 20, or more. For our example, let's use $5,000 as a figure for a home in this price that's generally in good condition.
Next up would be professional staging. For a $600,000 home, staging can be a good idea. Research shows staging often reduces the time it takes to sell and may generate more offers and a higher selling price. Buyers in this price range have higher expectations, and they are comparing your home to maybe new construction and other well-presented listings in the area. A professional stager in Western North Carolina typically runs $2,000 to $4,000 for an initial consultation and a setup, and with monthly rental fees if the home doesn't sell quickly. So let's just use $3,000 as an example.
Next up is professional photography and marketing assets, which are included in our peak home selling system, so they're not a direct cost to you as the home seller when you are working with us.
Now we get to the closing costs, the fees that come out of your proceeds at the closing table.
Agent compensation for the listing agent that represents you in the sale of your property. This is probably the most significant single cost of selling and also the most variable since the settlement back in August 2024. In North Carolina, agent compensation is fully negotiable. The fee can be a percentage of the sale price, a fixed fee, or a combination of the two. For this example, and just to use a random number, let's use a flat fee of $16,000.
In North Carolina, we have excise tax, also called maybe revenue stamps or deed stamps. In North Carolina, this is $2 per $1,000 of sales price, which is also paid by the seller. For easier calculation, we're going to simply divide the sales price by 500. So on a $600,000 sale, that's a $1,200 cost.
So in North Carolina, it's an attorney state, meaning a licensed real estate attorney must handle the closing. They will perform the title search to make sure there are no encumbrances or reasons why you as the seller cannot deliver a clean title and prepare all the documents that you need. Seller attorney's fees for North Carolina typically run anywhere from $400 to $700. The buyer pays more. And for our example here, let's use $500.
And there's property taxes. At closing, you'll owe prorated property taxes for the portion of the year you own the home, which varies based on your location and jurisdiction. Henderson County's effective property tax rate, as of this recording in 2026, is approximately 0.431 for the county and 0.115 for the fire district, giving you a combined rate of 0.546. On a $600,000 home, annual taxes will run approximately $3,276. If you close mid-year, you'll owe approximately half that because the taxes are prorated, so around $1,638. We'll use that figure.
If your home is in a community with a homeowners association, sometimes called a property owners association, you may owe prorated dues or a transfer fee at closing. And these do vary widely, anywhere from a few $100s to a few thousand, depending on the community. For our example, we'll note this as a variable and set it at 0 since not every home in Henderson County is in an HOA.
Next up, we have seller concessions. At the time of recording, roughly 27% of sellers in Henderson County are offering some form of concessions to attract buyers, most commonly assisting with closing costs or a home warranty. This is negotiated, not automatic, but in a market where sellers are receiving 93% of the original list price on average, some buyers are requesting concessions as part of the offer. Concessions may range from $3,000 to $12,000. So let's use $5,000 as a scenario figure here, and note that on a well-prepared, well-priced home often avoids concessions entirely.
We already spoke about agent compensation for the listing agent helping you to sell your home. Sellers may also choose to pay some or all of the buyer agent's fee as well. In North Carolina, all agent compensation is fully negotiable, including the buyer agent. The fee can be a percentage of the sale, a fixed fee, or a combination of the two. This is why we encourage home sellers to focus on the number at the end of this calculation, which is the net or estimated money you will receive at the end of the transaction. So for this example, and to use that random number again, let's use that flat fee of $16,000 for this one as well. Now let's talk about the mortgage payoff. Here's the line that varies more than any other because that is what you still owe on your home, and it comes directly out of your proceeds before you see a dollar.
For our calculation, we're going to run two versions. Version 1, you bought this home in 2014 for $240,000 with a 30-year mortgage, and you've been paying it down for 12 years. Your approximate remaining balance is somewhere between $140,000 to $160,000, depending on your rate and payment history. So we're going to use $150,000 for this example.
Version 2, you bought more recently in 2021 for $480,000 with a smaller down payment. Your remaining balance might be closer to $420,000 to $440,000. Let's use $430,000 for this example.
So that difference illustrates why tenure matters so much. The 2014 buyer walks away with roughly $400,000 in net proceeds. The 2021 buyer walks away with roughly $120,000. Both are legitimate outcomes, but they represent completely different financial positions and different options for what comes next.
And this is before we talk about capital gains taxes, which is a separate conversation we cover in detail in another video. For most primary residence sellers in Henderson County, particularly those married couples filing jointly, the $500,000 capital gains exclusion means you likely owe nothing in federal capital gains tax on the sale. But if you're a single filer with significant gains, or if this is a vacation or investment property, the tax picture looks different. So always consult your tax consultant.
So let's put the whole calculation on screen so you can see it all in one place. We have the sale price of $600,000, a pre-listing inspection of $650, repairs and updates $5,000, staging $3,000, listing agent compensation fee $16,000, the North Carolina excise tax of $1,200, attorney fees for the seller $500, prorated property taxes of $1,638, seller concessions of $5,000, the buyer agent compensation fee of $16,000. So the subtotal before the mortgage payoff is $551,512.
So now let's talk about the two scenarios where we had the 2014 buyer that had the mortgage payoff of $150,000. Their net proceeds would end up being $400,512 roughly. For that buyer who purchased in 2021, who had a $430,000 mortgage payoff, their net proceeds would be $120,512 approximately. So here's what we want you to walk away with. Selling a home is not free and the total cost is real, but for most long-term Henderson County homeowners, what remains after every cost is still a transformative amount of money. The key is not your specific number before you make any decisions.
We build a personalized seller net sheet for every homeowner we consult with. It takes your actual mortgage balance, your home's current market value, and your specific situation and produces a real estimated net proceeds figure, not a generic example like the one we just walked through today, but your number. If you want yours, the link below will take you to our consultation request form.
And if you found this helpful, share it with someone you know who's been thinking about selling. This is exactly the kind of information that removes the uncertainty that keeps people stuck. Thank you for watching, and let's get you on the path to sold.